Hello everyone, Wicked Gaming here. Today I am filming something a little different. This is a tutorial for how to create a patch to make other mod armor, weapons, and apparel take full advantage of DarkStar manufacturing. So before I get into anything special, I wanted to show you how to load the things up at the same time in the creation kit. So I have Creation Kit loaded with nothing, no mod is loaded inside of it yet. When I click the folder there or file and data, it brings up this same window. What I want to do is select the DarkStar Manufacturing ESM. Now I have the ESP versions, but that's not what we want to use to do the patch. I load the DarkStar ESM, just double click that, and I want the one that I want to patch, which is going to be the Starfield Trackers Alliance 01. This is the Vulture Quest. So if I double click that, you can see on the right, when I have that highlighted, it shows the dependencies it's going to have. You don't need to manually select those. It'll select those for you. We're just worried about setting these two because those are the two we're going to patch. So I will pause the recording now until this is loaded. Okay, I'm back. I want to show you very quickly a few pieces of the Creation Kit window. This is not meant to be a full Creation Kit tutorial, but for those of you who are a little less familiar, let me go over a few things quickly. Bear with me if you know these things. So first of all, this section to the major top left of my screen is the object window. That's where you have the list of categories on the left or folders on the left, and you can bring up the items inside those on this big right section. Tucked over on the right side of my screen is the cell render window. By default, when you first open the Creation Kit, that pops up in over top of your whole screen, and you can't get rid of it. You have to dock it. It won't close. It doesn't go away. When I'm not doing anything in the 3D space, I tuck it over here on the right side of my screen. Down at the bottom is the layers and cell windows. They are not useful for DarkStar manufacturing unless you want to try editing something in the 3D space to create a patch that maybe places the workbenches somewhere or something like that. But that's not the purpose of what we're doing today. So I've loaded those two, SFTA01 and the DarkStar manufacturing ESM files, and with those loaded, it also by default loaded the dependencies. So SFBGS003, which happens to be, even though it's not named, it doesn't give you anything in the summary to tell you it, this file, SFBGS003, is the Trackers Alliance content patch that was released by Bethesda. So just the general free one. And then, of course, Starfield ESM always has to be loaded. So in here, real quickly, over on the left side, I want to point out a few things that we're going to touch. So anything that uses any mod that adds armor or any base game armor, apparel, any of that is all under armor. So clothing, headwear, like the UC captain's cap and stuff like that, all of that is under armor. All of the weapons are under weapon, including ship weapons. So be careful which ones you touch. And then the constructible objects, these are the recipes that are used at any crafting bench to create a thing from scratch or to mod a piece of apparel or a weapon or whatever. They're all under here. And then furniture under miscellaneous, under world items or world objects. So furniture down here is where the workbenches are. And I think that was it. And then there's keywords. You may want to look up some of the keywords. They're under this miscellaneous keywords section. You shouldn't need to create new ones unless you need to create a new one to filter out things from a mod that you're patching. But that's where that goes. Okay, so let's start with workbenches. Go to furniture. Now I can type WOR here and it'll jump to workbench. If you want, you can use the text filter section, but you will find that you have to turn that on and off constantly. So if you do DarkStar here, it will bring up just the DarkStar things. Each one of these has its own filtering keyword. So apparel crafting, for example, if I go to the keywords tab on the bottom here, we can see that it uses filtered DarkStar Workbench apparel crafting and the Workbench apparel or Workbench DarkStar apparel crafting. So those two things are used to help filter it, in addition to the fact that it also does note that it is an industrial, Workbench industrial keyword, Workbench general keyword. Leave those alone. But this shows you where the filtering is happening on a per workbench basis. And those use those keywords that I mentioned. To remove this text filter and show you the industrial workbench. So if you need to do anything with the industrial workbench, or you're curious how it's filtering things out, this one doesn't have so many of those keywords, but it does have, I do believe there were some things I changed on it. No, that's right. It was in the, I'm sorry. It was in the actual recipes. So let me show you those recipes and how we filter those out. So if I go to the constructible objects, which is where the recipes are, and let's find one of the manufacturing items. So CO_MFG. And we see the adaptive frame. If we look at the adaptive frame, it has a new match condition added by DarkStar Manufacturing. So if it is true for condition form CF, condition form, DarkStar custom recipe blocker. So if we go and we look at that custom recipe blocker, that is under condition forms, which is miscellaneous, I believe. Yes. CF_ DarkStar. And now you can see all of the keywords that all of my workbenches call, and then damage type cryo. So if all of my workbenches have, if all of the manufacturing things have this condition form as a blocker, that is what prevents them from showing in the DarkStar workbenches. Okay. So there's that. So then let's go back to the constructible objects, or the armor. I'm going to start with apparel first. I did a little bit of investigating, and I know SFTA is the prefix used by the rewards and a lot of the files added by this new Trackers Alliance Vulture quest. You can see on the right, name, Vulture Dustwear, Vulture Veteran Dualwear. So I'm going to duplicate and rename these, because I'm going to add a DSM prefix, and I'm going to add an enhanced suffix. Okay, now these pieces of gear, they need something a little bit different that these don't have. DarkStar philosophies, we don't edit the default things. So I'm not going to edit these two pieces of equipment. What I am going to do is definitely edit the enhanced ones. In order to do that, though, I want to have examples in my face of how I did it with the default mod, the base mod. So I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to find DarkStar Apparel Keyless Security Enhanced. He is going to be our guinea pig. I'll drag him a little bit out of the way, and then I'm going to DSM, and that will jump to my other two, and I'm going to edit both of those. Okay, now I have my example up, and I have my new pieces of gear up, which I'm going to tuck a little over to the side, and there we have it. So here we want to check the mod association section, or the keywords. So this is where you set a mod association that allows you to switch things like quality and things like that. These are very important that they match up with what the original DarkStar was doing. So I'm going to copy this item, this MA DarkStar Apparel, and I'm going to paste it into these. You can see this doesn't have it. Paste it there, and this one doesn't have it. I'm going to paste that there. Next, I'm going to go back to my keyless security example and look at the attach points. So that's bottom left. I don't know why it's tucked away the way it is, but here it is. You can see it's got legendaries, it's got quality, and it's got lining. If I go back and look here, it's only got lining. So I want to copy quality rank 1, rank 2, and rank 3 legendaries. Copy. Come back over to my 2 new pieces of equipment and paste. And the other one's right here and paste. And we are ignoring my dog barking outside. My wife is out there working with chickens and dogs. Okay, next, go back to this and we're going to just double check this main window to see what else might need to change. Notice the name is slightly different. This says Mark II. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to bring that over to these as well. That makes them show in the name that they are the enhanced version of the equipment. And then I think that was all of the base item edits, but we're still not done because what we've got next is the object template. It's this little button hiding down here. This is all of the combinations for how a thing can be created or how it can spawn in the base game. You'll notice on the Aquila security, so all apparel only has one by default. It only has one combination by default, and that's what gives you this list down here of things that get attached. I add this one, this if crafting force quality, so that I can force this to always spawn with quality of 1, which is the standard, so it's pre-calibrated. It's not calibrated yet, not refined, advanced, none of that. So this is just the base item with no special upgrades or benefits. I want to force that when crafting. So this is how I do that. I add a new object template combination named with this keyword if crafting force quality 01. So there we got that. That is our example, and I'm going to go into this new piece of gear, hit the object template, and we've got to create it here. You'll notice that this only has one because that is how the defaults work. But what we also want to make sure, in addition to creating the if crafting force quality, we're going to check this section here. And there's 2 things that need to change. One is we want to make sure that we give it the quality tiers any. So I need to add that here. I should be able to copy this. All apparel uses the same quality tier scaling. So I can copy the selected and paste the selected over here. But this, you'll also notice, this has commanding 01 lining, but the naming convention here is different. This says mod apparel lining commanding 01. This just says mod clothing disciplined 01. That's because this is pointing to the vanilla one, and in order to distinguish between apparel, headwear, cyberwear, and everything in the DarkStar manufacturing, I had to create clones of all of the lining effects so that I could distinguish that this set of them should be available for apparel, this other set of them should be available for headwear, etc. So we need, if we don't change this value, this clothing disciplined 1, it won't be craftable, won't be modifiable at the spacesuit crafting bench. So we're going to change that, and we want it to have disciplined 01 like it does now, but we want mod apparel lining disciplined 01. So let's double click that. We can click the drop down, and then we can go all the way up to mod apparel. This is a huge list of mods. Mod apparel lining disciplined 01, right there. All right, and then next, make sure that since I've added this, I don't want use all to the quality tiers any. I just want the 1. That way it applies singular. Make sure that is not use all. And then I want to add the new version here. Make sure you check the editor only and give it the name crafted. Editor only here. That doesn't get any wider, so I can't show you. But basically, the editor only checkbox means that this name won't show up in the game. If you don't do that and you give a combination a name, then that name becomes the name of the item, period. It doesn't append it to it. It doesn't add it to the beginning, or it replaces the whole name. So make sure you're checking this editor only. And for that combination, we want to add the if crafting force quality keyword. These keywords are just, this is all they're for is filtering things and finding things. They have no functionality of their own. So if crafting force quality 01, this is an instantiation filter type keyword. If I edit that by double clicking it, you'll see the type is instantiation filter. That's all this does. And then in here, we want to add that we want the quality. So mod apparel, nope, mod apparel. It's probably DarkStar. Mod DarkStar apparel quality 01. We want to force 01. So before I leave this screen though, so tiers any, what that's doing is it's doing level calculations. So it'll have 1 through 7 listed inside of it, and then that will tell it to be it has all 7 listed inside of it, and for each one it has a level that you must be in order to qualify to have it. So that tiers any, when a mod combination calls that, what it's supposed to do is grab the highest level one that you qualify for. So in this case, we don't want the tiers any at the force quality 1. We want quality 1 for force quality 1. So that's what we're grabbing. And again, don't make it optional and don't make it use all. All right, and that should fix this. If I go here, so by closing this down and expanding it again, I get the full name to show up. So the last thing I like to do before I leave the screen is I just want to double check everything and make sure that I've got my proper tiers any, I've got my proper lining, because I had a few instances doing this prior that I thought I had this, but I didn't click out of it the right way and it went back to the default. So just double check everything and then click OK. Then we can go back to, I believe that was this one. Yep, this one's got the expanded. So now that means that this piece of armor is done. I can close that. And now we're down to just this one. We've got our attach points. We've got our mod association. So let's open our template. We'll go back to the original example template and copy this. Go to this and paste it in. Uncheck that. Then we are going to, I'm sorry I say so much, it's instinctive. I can't force myself to stop doing it. Editor only, crafted. I know I didn't change the lining. I'm going back to do that right now because I just thought of it. So we have clothing disciplined. We want to change this to mod apparel disciplined. Hit enter. And now that is set. We're good. Come back to this one, add our keyword. If crafting force quality, and then add a keyword here. And this is going to be mod DarkStar apparel quality 1. Make sure we're good to go. And then if I collapse expand, this all shows up the way I expect it to. So that's good. Come back here. That's good. That is the completion of our enhanced apparel to make sure it has what it needs. So now we're going to go back to the constructible objects. We didn't create recipes. Never mind. Let's go and filter this by SFTA. And we are going to create recipes. That's as simple as highlight all 4 of them, right click, and create recipe. Now we can go to constructible objects, and we have them showing here. But like before, we're going to use examples from the rest of the DarkStar manufacturing. So what I want to do is get these similar to the others. So I want to leave the SFTA. I know that my original DarkStar manufacturing apparel is named like this, CO apparel. And I'll take off the word close by hand. Always hit NY on those two, and it just closes them. No, and then yes. So we want apparel, and then remove the word clothes. No, yes. And then for this one, we want, I guess that technically it's supposed to say DarkStar apparel. So let's do that and conform with the rest of it. DarkStar apparel. Yes. DarkStar apparel. Come on. And then my arrow key wasn't responding. No, yes. Okay. So now I can turn off this filter. I'm going to go to the CO apparel section. We're going to get to where the SFTA version is. SFTA. So we're going to open both of those and the trade authority, the uniform trade authority at the same time. So we edit those. Trade authority is now our example for this step in the process. So we have those two apparels. We have the service uniform trade authority right here. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is copy all of these recipe components. These are the ingredients needed to craft the item. Paste them into here. Paste them into here. How easy is that? Next, I want to copy these conditions. You can't highlight both at the same time, but you can copy all conditions. Copy all conditions. Paste conditions. Paste conditions. And that's set. Next, let's look at the created object needs to be 1 for both of these. We don't mess with the priority because priority of 0 lets all of these alphabetize normally in the crafting window for the player. But we do need this recipe manufactured on both. We're going to copy that, paste it here, paste it here. And then up top, you'll notice Workbench keyword is Workbench industrial keyword. We want that on both of these as well. I know that we're not using the industrial bench. Remember, we use those filters I talked about to push them out of the industrial workbench. But without this or like the Chem Lab or something like that, then those are the only workbenches that allow pure construction. Everything else, like the spacesuit workbench, if you try and use that only allows modification. So the recipes show up in a completely different way and behave in a different way. So we don't want to use that. Now these are the vanilla apparel. Vanilla apparel does not have object combinations that we are modifying or messing with. They don't apply quality. All apparel always is just standard. It is what it is. You can't upgrade quality in the base game. So there's nothing to set here for the instantiation filter, but this is where that would be set. We don't need anything else. We need the name of these two items. So this is the, oh man, what is that called? What is that called? I can't remember the name of it. So we'll just call this the Vulture Dustwear. Oh, vested. That's the veteran clothing. Vulture veteran outfit. And then this one is the duster. So Vulture veteran dustwear. Okay, so this was dual wear. So dual wear, dustwear. Because why not? Okay, so now they have a name. They have their recipe ingredients. They have their workbench keywords and filter recipe filter. They have the apparel crafting filter in the bottom. And here we go. Click OK on that, OK on that, OK on that. But guess what? In this specific situation, that is not enough. And that is because these are quest rewards, and I want to make sure that you have completed the quest. So we're going to add another new condition. This is in addition to what the default apparel crafting requires. We're going to change this to player. Make sure you do not swap subject and target. We're going to get quest complete or is quest complete? I think it is quest complete. Oh, nope, get quest complete. And then we go to the SFTA. So this is the Trackers Alliance 01. So this is the Vulture quest. Something like this might require a little bit of research in advance by you. I've already done that lookup on my own so that I would know how to patch this. And there we go. So I want to make sure that I copy this condition and hit OK on him, open this guy back up, and paste that condition in here. So there we are. Both of those pieces of apparel now require you to have finished that quest. And then I go to the enhancement recipe, is going to be under CO DarkStar. CO DarkStar apparel, SFTA. We'll do the trade authority again as an example and edit those three. Okay, there's our Trackers Alliance. Here is our Trackers Alliance goes to the right. Sorry. And then this is our trade authority. He's our example. So first I want to make sure I paste in that condition that I copied so that these require the quest to have been completed. Then I'm going to copy these conditions here. So copy all conditions, paste in, and paste in. So now we have our basic match conditions for when these things can be enhanced. This will push it to, you have to have finished the apparel enhancing research, you have to have completed the quest, and you have to be at the apparel enhancement workbench and be greater than or equal to level 1. Hooray. All right, that's done. Set these both to 1 for the quantity crafted. Copy this, paste it over here, and paste it over here. Now we're going to get a little crazy. I am going to copy this recipe ingredient, but it's not going to stay as that recipe ingredient. What we want is you to have as the ingredient the SFTA 01 closed ranger vested blah blah blah. So we're going to do that. So we're going to change this to the SFTA. So this is the vested. So we're creating the enhanced vested. We're going to want the base vested. The base game version of the vested. So there's that. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. But I can copy this one because I know they're next to each other. So copy that. Paste it here. Got the vested, but this is the duster. Double click. And then click in here. And you can scroll up. And there's the duster. Okay. So now the duster makes the duster. The duster makes the enhanced duster. And this duster makes, or vested makes the enhanced vested. I have this warning over here that I want to copy, and I want the words Mark II. So I'll copy all of that, come over here, and this is the Vulture Veteran Dual Wear Paste Mark II, warning. This is the Vulture Veteran Dust Wear Mark II, blah, blah, blah. All right, and then the last thing would be this workbench keyword, which needs to be workbench industrial. So I'll just click in, workbench, enter. Click in, workbench, enter. Now double check everything. We've got the item we're crafting. We have the correct source item. We have the recipe filter, manufactured filter. We have the workbench industrial. We've got our name and our warning, and we've got our match conditions. Oh, and these two also require if crafting force quality. Okay, and that will force quality 1 for those. There we have that, and I can click cancel on this. Our apparel is now conceptually done. What's left is to get into the game and then test these pieces of apparel. But next up, we know that this comes with a weapon that everybody wants. So we're going to have to modify that, or we're going to have to create a modified version of that weapon and some other things. To get started on that, to talk about that, we need to talk about object mods. So whenever you're customizing a weapon or a helmet or a spacesuit or a pack, you're going to be dealing with the object mods section. So I filter this by SFT. It doesn't show. So this would be Nova Strike, and here we go. So the reason is that spacesuit components, so the helmet, the suit, the pack, and weapons all come with quality tiers any files and quality files. Now, they behave totally different. I would just point you back to use an existing set of DarkStar manufacturing stuff as an example. That is the most critical piece of information I can give you, because so much work was done in researching how this worked, reverse engineering it, and making it work. So what we want to end up with the Nova Strike is something similar to what I have for the Nova Light, which is 7 quality files that are base game. The first 4 came from the base game. The next 3, 5, 6, and 7 were added by DarkStar Manufacturing. You can tell that by the ID value here, the form ID. The first 4, their form ID is 002. Anything beyond 000 and beyond, that's base game, that's Starfield. And then 5, 6, and 7 have 01, because DarkStar Manufacturing is the one mod that is loaded. So into the memory right now. So its load order is 1, therefore 01. So DarkStar Manufacturing added 5, 6, 7, which means we're going to have to do that for the Nova Strike. And DarkStar Manufacturing added the Mark II qualities 1 through 7. And the DarkStar Manufacturing edited the base game quality tiers any. That's the one place where hard edits always happen, so that it would include 5, 6, and 7 from the base game vanilla quality tiers. And then, of course, created the Mark II tiers any. All of that work needs to be done for the Nova Strike. So what I've got on screen here is a spreadsheet that I use to help me calculate the weapon damages out. You don't have to be this precise. That's up to you. This spreadsheet, a version of it, will be available in my Discord. If you come and join the Discord, there's a whole section on DarkStar modding or DarkStar manufacturer patching. It's a whole discussion forum just for that. And if you look for the post there by me, Wicked Gaming, then you will see one of them will have this spreadsheet and some loose instructions and a link to this video. So I can't show you that right now because I haven't created it, because I'm still working on the video. But trust me, it'll be there. Now, this spreadsheet, well, let's go over some real quick information about how it works and what it means. So if I go to the top, there's a whole bunch of words I'm not going to bother reading out to you. There's this damage calc section here. I would suggest not editing this at all. This 5, 6, and 7 columns up here help determine how the damage scaling works here, because this whole spreadsheet is based on formulas. If I go on, wow, English is failing me. Base game quality stuff is over here. You'll notice that qualities 5, 6, and 7, or superior, unrivaled, and relic, are red, because they do not exist in the base game. That means they have to be created. The arc welder and the auto rivet in the cutter, for example, didn't have any qualities assigned at all. They were just always the base item, never scaled in quality. So they have everything in red because all of those quality tiers needed to be added. But if you look at the AA99, its base damage in the game files is 17. So that 17 gets brought over here. You can see the formula up top. It's just trying to do some simple math in case you've doctored these numbers up above it. That's the multiplier addition, multiply and add. But since there's no modifier, since it's 0, then it stays 17. And the same thing happens here. So this is the value from the game files from quality 2 for the AA99. It had a mod of 0.47. That means it's going to take the 17 times 0.47 plus 17 to produce 25. And then this is where things get a little bit crazy because it's not doing that anymore. This 34 is actually a combination of the 25 before it and that 0.53 times 17 to become 34. So it does cumulative stuff here that just doesn't really, no. It's okay. So anyways, cumulatively, by the time you get to Relic on an AA99, it is applying all of these values simultaneously against the 17 to produce 99. The DarkStar version of the quality, or the Mark II quality files, flatten that to singular values so that when in the base game, if you have a relic, it's going to actually be quality, calibrated, refined, advanced, unrivaled, or superior, unrivaled, and relic all at the same time. All of those quality tier files are attached to that weapon as object modifiers. In DarkStar Manufacturing Mark II and Mark III, that is not the case. We applied just calibrated, just refined, just advanced, just unrivaled, just or just superior, just unrivaled, and just relic. You only get one. That's why this number looks so much higher, but produces the same damage value. So, knowing that as a basic gist, this spreadsheet is available. You can do a deeper dive and figure all of that out. But what I wanted to do is make sure the Nova Strike took advantage of the same quality scaling. So if you look at the 97 versus 219 here, you can see a massive damage jump going from advanced to relic, and you can see the same scaled jump going from advanced to relic on the new Nova Strike sniper. Yes, this damage is absurd, but honestly, this Nova Strike is already overpowered at 334. Everything above that is fluff anyways, so why not? Okay, so these are the damage numbers I'm going to use in the quality tiers files. That's kind of where I was getting with this. So I am going to go back to the creation kit and get to work. And I've got my spreadsheet here that I can work with and all of my game files here. So one thing I want to check is this quality tier 5 and 6 and 7. I think those are fine for the Nova Light. So what I want to do is I want to copy these, turn them into this and change the values, or I can copy these and change the values. And I think actually what I'm going to do is copy these. So if I duplicate this 3 times, so that would be quality tier 5, tier 6, and tier 7. This is 5. No, yes. This is 6. No, yes. And this is 7. No, yes. Okay, we edit 5, 6, and 7. Alt tab over here. That's 7, so let's grab the value for 7 and go to his F attack damage. F stands for float. So we paste this into attack damage and also energy. So energy, the damage is one little field lower, but it's still there. And then change the weapon quality. So DN is default naming. So DN weapon quality 4 becomes DN weapon quality 5. And we're going to change the quality up here to a 5. Or no, I'm sorry, that's 7. 7 and 7. So quality 7, quality 7, quality 7. It's all in agreement. And for the vanilla quality, we do leave don't show in UI active. That stays just like that is. We're not changing anything else. Not overly concerned with the I value here. That's an integer, or it's supposed to be an integer, but it's applying a float. So this is, the credit cost of the item if you were to try and sell it. I'm not overly concerned with adding that. Everything can be 0.6250 growth, and it'll be fine. It compounds anyways. So, all right, that is good. Next up is the 6. So let's start by tweaking this to a 6, tweaking this to a 6, and then I can copy the 6 damage mod value. Go to the energy, do that there too. And it should be good. And now let's grab the 5. And change this to a 5. Change this to a 5. Okay. All right, now we edit the tiers any. And this is for the vanilla quality tiers. So I'm going to add one. We're going to filter that by Nova Strike. We're going to do one at a time. Make sure it's not set as optional. And then we want to pick the level scaling from here. So this is a 15-point jump between 2 and 3. It's a 20-point jump between 3 and 4. So we'll do 25 from there. This makes this 85. We're just keeping the pattern alive. My numpad was not numpadding. Okay. And then we're going to add a new one. This is going to be for 6. And the previous jump was 25. This one will be 30, which will make this 115. Make sure it's not optional. And then finally, we will add 7. Make sure it's not optional. And the 115 jumps from, that was 30, so this will be 35, which makes this 150. And there we have that. That's now the new quality tiers any file, modified by this patch. Okay. Now we need to create the Mark II version of these. So what we're going to do is I'm going to duplicate and do a search replace as part of the duplicate and rename. So duplicate rename. We do not want a prefix or a suffix. We're going to search for quality underscore and replace it with quality underscore Mark II underscore. So that'll take this and inject that Mark II into the naming convention, just like you see up here in the Nova Light. And there are our new files. We don't need to, we do need to edit the Mark II tiers any to point each one of these to the Mark II versions. So for each row, we're not changing the level numbers, we're just changing this. So for each one of these, we just go and highlight him and select the Mark II version out of the drop-down list. And there we go. And we need to change this name. So this is, let's open the other one as an example. Mark II quality tiers any. It's simple enough. Mark II. Okay. So our Nova Strike quality tiers any file is set. You see the name changed over here on the right. And now we do all of these. Edit. Starting with 7, this is going to be Mark II Relic, and I have an extra comma in there that I don't want. So that's Mark II Relic. I'm going to pull up one of these as an example. This is the Novolite Mark II 07, just to be used as an example. And we'll see this has mod association Novolite quality Mark II. We don't have one. We didn't stop by the keywords section to create it, but we can create it from here. So we do new, call it mod association Nova Strike quality itty Mark II. Okay, it is a mod association type. And now we have that. So I'm going to copy that. Mod associations, paste, paste, paste. Are we having fun yet? Paste, paste, paste. This should be Mark 2 standard. And I'll go back through in reverse order and set that, and also this attach point weapon quality. APW, AP_W, weapon quality. There we are. And I'm not going to click OK yet, but I also want to remove this. So we're going to delete the keyword that says don't show no in UI. So go back to, this is 2. I'm going to set this to Mark 2 calibrated and add the attach point AP_W. Scroll down one, boom, and then remove the don't show in UI keyword. For some reason it makes me right click and delete twice, but it still works. All right, we haven't updated the values yet. We're coming back for that in a minute. That's going to be a lot of alt tapping. So AP_W, scroll down, pick quality, delete this guy. Come back up here, change this name to Mark 2 refined. And that should be set now. That should be good. Okay. All right. The no strike quality mark. Oh, I'm losing my brain here. Sorry. This is advanced. Mark 2 advanced. AP_W. Don't show in UI needs to be removed. It's got the name. It's got the attach point. It's got that removed. Mark 2 superior. AP_W. Scroll down. Don't show in UI gets removed. Move him out of the way. Next. Mark 2. 6 is unrivaled. AP_W. Delete. Still delete. And then 7. Mark 2 relic. AP_W. Pick the quality. Why did that delete the mod association? How did that delete the mod association? Paste. That's so weird. It didn't do that to any of the others. They all have the no strike mod association. It's just on that one it decided, no, I don't want to. All right, so Mark 201 doesn't have any modifiers, so we can go ahead and just double check the attach point, the mod association, and the name, and he's good, so we can close him. All right. We don't need this example from the Novalite anymore, so we can close that. Now I need to flip back and forth between this. We're going to use these values this time. Note that this value from quality 2 did not change between base game and DarkStar version, so we can actually just close this one. You can see it's there and it's there. It's already set. So I can click OK on this, and he's gone. Now we have quality 3. This one will be different. So that is our value. We paste that here, and we paste that here. And then we click OK after visually double checking that it has MA, AP, and name fixed. Okay. And we get to advanced, change damage, energy damage, visually verify the attach point, mod association, the name, we're good. This is superior. And visually check that the name, AP, and MA are all good. And this is unrivaled. Unrivaled. And then name, AP, MA. Relic. And then MA, AP, and we're good. Okay, so our quality tiers have been adjusted for this weapon. That is the most tedious, time-consuming section of this whole thing. This is the one place where you definitely do not want any mistakes to occur. So, that said, let's now go and look at how we get these crafted, constructed, all that. We haven't even done any changes to create the new weapon or any of that. So, if I go in here, you can see the SFTA. It's an interesting filtering Nova. All right, so like I said before, ship weapons are in here too, so be careful. All right, so SFTA 01 Nova Strike Sniper. We're going to duplicate and rename because he is going to become the DarkStar enhanced version of that. Okay. All right. So we have some enhanced ones here. That's fine. We can use those as an example. And we will do that right now. Weapon files are complex. Don't expect to go in and do weapon modification perfect the first time. If you do, you're very lucky. There's a lot going on, and I consider these forms very convoluted. But there's some good examples in here of what we need to do based on what DarkStar Manufacturing already did. So you have those to learn from and copy from. All right. Let's see. There's our quality and range legendary. We want to add these two. Copy selected to this Nova Strike because it will not have those. It will have its own weapon mod association. That's fine. We leave that alone. But we want to make sure it has the mod associations for the new legendaries that we're going to, or the new way that we handle legendaries to make them customizable. And we want to make sure it has the new quality stuff. So we're going to paste those in. And actually that's Novolite mod association, Novolite. Oh, we need to fix that. So we didn't want this one pasted in. We want to remove that one. I am sorry. Delete, because we want the Nova Strike version. So we're going to add Nova Strike Quality Mark II right there. So now he has the correct Nova Strike Quality 2. He has MA ranged. We're still not done. We need to go over to the Art tab because that is where attach points are defined. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. We want to make sure that this one has, that the new Nova Strike has legendaries, and it does. We want to make sure it has weapon quality, and it does not. So if we scroll on the Nova Light side, you'll see weapon quality is down here. I'm going to copy that and paste it here. That gives us an attach point for our qualities to land in. So we have legendaries 1, 2, and 3, and we have quality as attach points. That is decent, but this one also is going to have a new attach point, and that is going to be the AP weapon PCA. So that PCA, that's particle core amplifier. That is something that's usually reserved for the Mark III weapons in DarkStar Manufacturing. This Nova Strike is already a particle beam weapon, so we do not want to create a Mark III version of it. Mark III means that you've taken a ballistic weapon and turned it into particle beam. We don't want to do that with this one. He's already particle beam. But I do want to be cool and add something cool, some little flavor, and say, well, you can install a particle core in this to make it stronger. And what the particle core amplifiers do is they double the electrical or the energy damage that the weapon does. So it's overkill. It's totally not necessary for this mod. People can choose not to install it if they want. But all right, this uses particle fuse heavy. We don't want to manage. Don't want to manipulate any of that. We do want to do one thing that I always do though, is boost the damage by 2 points. In this case, because it's particle beam, we need to do it in 2 places. Now you can choose not to do this. You can choose to do it in a different way. That is up to you when you create your patches. But be nice to your end users. They are conditioned that when they destroy a weapon to create a weapon using the enhancement bench, after all the research and all the levels that they have to get to make it possible, they're used to seeing a slight bump in damage. So let's be kind and keep that going. All right. Then under general, we want to make sure we add Mark II to the name. And then under mods is where we get to the combinations. So I'll show you here too. This is our example. Every weapon in the game has a fallback object template, and then they have all of the named object templates. You can see I did the force quality here as well as in the just like I did in the apparel. This one has no additional combinations because it is only just the base gun. We do want to check. This has quality tiers any. We want to change that to the new quality Mark II tiers any because this is the enhanced version of the gun. And we want to make sure it does not say use all. Use all in the tiers any is what causes them to stack for vanilla weapons. So because all of the vanilla weapons say use all for their tiers any, that's what causes advanced, refined, and calibrated to all be applied to your weapon at the same time, rather than a singular. We want to pursue just a singular. So we're going to make sure we turn that off. And then I can change this to the quality tiers 2 or quality Mark II version. And that's good. We want to double check that there are not any legendaries being applied here. And if there are, we change them to the legendaries that came from DarkStar. Just like with the linings, the legendaries were cloned, unaltered, but cloned so that I could distinguish between ranged legendaries and melee legendaries. Of course, armor doesn't have that distinction. So we have that. That is good. I need to add a new section here. Call this crafted, just like I did before. We can copy this, paste it here. Now we have the if crafting force quality 1. That's cool. And then we want to add mod Nova Strike Mark II quality 1. Make sure it doesn't say use all. And then OK. Oh, let me compress and expand again to make sure it looks right. Now I should be done. Should be able to hit OK on that. Cancel on this because it's just an example. And then I can go to these two and create recipe. So I've got the original weapon and the enhanced weapon identified or highlighted. Hit create recipe, and now they should show up in here. So we've got DarkStar, right? This is all good and fine, except this is a weapon. So wep ranged in Y. Okay, so that is now renamed. And then where is the other? Where is he? There it is. Okay, sort by name again. And now he's down here with his others that we can copy from. So we will edit both of these, drag the original off to the side like we've been doing. Now I have something to work with. So actually, I don't want Novalite as my example. Nova Blast would be closer in weapon size. The ingredients here are different. So I want all of these, copy those, paste them here. Copy this, paste it here. Copy these, all conditions, paste them here. I'm not going to bother pulling up that other example one. I'm just going to recreate the other condition here for the quest. Bring it up. Get quest complete. Get quest complete. Get quest complete. There it is. And change this to the SFTA 01 down here. Okay, so as SFTA 01 is completed, then you can also do this crafting. We want to make sure one is created, and that one is the vanilla weapon, so we don't do if quality or if crafting force quality. All right, I'm going to leave that open and close the Nova Blast example. Scroll up to these. I am going to capitalize the S because it's annoying me. No, yes. Did it really not? Ugh. Let's change it to an X then for now. And then no, yes. And then we'll change it to a capital S. S. No, yes. Okay. Yep, sometimes you just gotta do things like that. All right. Edit this. These are for the enhanced versions. So there's our enhanced Nova Strike. Here's our example. I also forgot to do this, so Workbench I on the original weapon, the vanilla weapon. So there we go. It's got Workbench Industrial keyword. We'll set that first here so I don't forget it. Workbench, I typed wrong. Workbench Industrial keyword. So let's copy this, paste it here. Copy all of these conditions, paste them here. Copy this quest condition, paste that here. So now he should have enhancement, enhanced weapon manufacturing, and SFTA quest. Okay, give him 1. And now this one uses materials to craft the weapon. This one does not. This one is going to use this weapon to craft this weapon. So we add, I'm going to copy that, paste it here, double click on it, and then I can expand this and SFTA Nova Strike Sniper. Okay, so the Nova Strike is used to make the enhanced Nova Strike, and if crafting force quality 1 has to be set for the enhanced version. And now I need descriptions and stuff like that. So this is Arboron Nova Strike Sniper Mark II. All right. So we have names, we have ingredients, we have filters and keywords and match conditions. We have our crafted object and our count. That's good. And then the same thing here, verify everything one more time. All looks good to me. And then this is our example, so I can just close him. So now, theoretically, everything should be done. So now we're going to save. This is where it's going to create your ESM file. Now you'll see in my list, I've done this once before, but I wasn't happy with how I did it and how I filmed the videos, so I did it again. So here we are. I'm going to change this to DSM Vulture Patch. So that all of my DarkStar patches that I create, all my DarkStar manufacturing patches that I create will be DSM prefixed, and then what the thing is that's being patched, and then the word patch. That's the way I'm going to do this. So that will allow me to delete the original patch that I created. So save. Now I finally have an ESP file, but I can't test an ESP file. I need to convert this to a master. So when you convert file to and select one of these, that is creating ESM. You play ESMs. You can Xedit tweak ESMs if you use the Xedit program, but you edit and maintain ESPs in the creation kit. My recommendation is to never just create pure ESMs in Xedit anymore. Do your ESP editing and modification in the creation kit. Export your ESMs. If you need to take those over to Xedit just to double check things and clean up, I fully understand. There are people that are already doing training videos on how to do that and how to get them back into ESP format. I'm not going through that here. With this kind of modification, I don't need to go into Xedit at all, and I'm not going to. But I do need to choose small, medium, or full master. If you are going, so let's say I did this work and I want to export it, pull it immediately into Xedit and do some tweaking or double checking, and then I'm going to bring it back to ESP, then I would need to go to full master because Xedit only currently edits full masters. I have to do that for DarkStar Astrodynamics all the time. I export to full master, I do my work in Xedit, I come back to Creation Kit as an ESP, and when I'm ready to test the mod, I have to export to a medium master because that is what DarkStar Astrodynamics is a medium master. So I only bring this up because you need to know whether you're exporting for use in Xedit or exporting for use to play. In this case, this is a tiny, tiny, tiny mod. It is a patch for a base game mod that is already a small master. I am going to keep it a small master. So while the ESP is just fully unlocked, it's full size, I may want to occasionally run, especially when it's new, compact active file form IDs for small master. It'll say it's going to do things, but it's got nothing to do because it's so tiny. You can run it anyways if you want, like I just did. Doesn't hurt anything. Once your mod is live, you don't want to do that. Once people have started playing against it, because it can change form ID values, this column here in the middle of my screen. And that is what your player's save files point to. They point to your mod name and your form ID name. So if your mod name changes or your form ID changes, you just hosed up everybody's saves. But circling back, I want to export as a small master. That is going to create the ESM file as a small master. This patch will forever be small master. If I need to take it into Xedit, I can export as a full master, temporarily do my editing, come back into CK and export again as a small master. This will overwrite that ESM file. You don't need to worry about renaming the ESM, getting it out of the way. If you want to keep backups, you might want to do that because this blindly brute force overwrites the existing ESM if one is already there. Once you've saved something as an ESM and done that export, do not do further changes in this in the creation kit. It will sometimes bug out and it will apply the changes to the ESM instead of the ESP. And then when you load up your ESP in the creation kit the next time, you'll notice that some things that you did before were lost. So once you export to ESM, you now need to close the creation kit and you can reopen it and resume work. But you're going to go through that load time of it closing and opening. Right now, I am going to close down the creation kit and load this up into my game and test it. Okay, here I am in the lodge, in game, and my mod is loaded. This character has completed the Vulture quest, so I'm not going to go through all of that on video. What I wanted to show you is that now, since I've completed the quest, if I scroll way down to the V's, because it sorts alphabetically, there's the Vulture Dustwear and the Vulture Veteran Dualwear. So, I can create one or both of these. I'm going to create both, but I need materials to do it. Of course I do. Let me go grab those real quick. Everything from that little box. And yes, I'm encumbered, whatever. Alright, so now scroll way down again. One Vulture Dualwear. N1 Vulture Dustware. I said those in reverse order. And if I go and show you at the crafting bench, they don't show up here because they are not customizable in their vanilla state. If I go to the enhancement bench, I will then scroll way down again to the V's, and you'll see those two are lit up because I have them in my inventory. So it's going to consume a dustware to create a Mark II. Dustware, Mark II, confirm. Now that's gray. Do this one. There's my two pieces of apparel. I'm going to put on the dustware version. And then take this back off. Tell it to hide anyways. So there we are. And now I can customize this dustware. I'm going to leave it 10% reload speed, or 5% reload speed, but I wanted to verify that it could indeed do these things. Change the lining. All of them are lit up. I can change the quality. It's now relic, and I can apply legendaries. So Ablade, and then I believe I did weapon holsters, and was it armor plated? No, sentinel. Okay, and that is that customized. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's the dual wear. Wait, why do I have two dustwares? That's interesting. So it appears I have a bug where applying the quality to the dustware is cloning the item. That's great. That's awesome. Okay. I need to figure out why that's happening. But for now, you can see that I was able to do this. So, does that happen to... That didn't happen to the dual wear. It's only happening to the dustware. Let me check my actual inventory. So I crafted one of each. And yeah, every time I do the dustware, every time I apply the quality, it's giving me a new copy that is relic, and it's leaving the basic one alone. That might be just a quality mismatch or something like that. But it didn't do it with the veteran dual wear, which is really odd. It only did it with the dustware version. Okay, I'm going to pause while I go and, well, let me check the weapon before I leave. Got the rest of the apparel stuff working. So this, I don't have the weapon yet. Let me get the weapon. So craft the Nova Strike. Gonna be under A for Arboron, pretty sure. Yeah, there it is. So I've got that. And then ammo crafting isn't necessary right now. It's not a vial. I do want to do weapon enhancement. Create the Nova Strike 2. And then go to here and I can change. You know what? I think it's grabbing apparel from... No, that doesn't make sense either. Alright. So, Nova Strike. Sorry, I'm just trying to... My brain's trying to figure out how it's doing what it's doing with that relic quality thing. So we do want the long scope. Do want a suppressor, because always suppressing. Large magazine. And then leave it semi-automatic because that isn't customizable anyways. Add my amplified particle core. Saw the energy damage jump way up. Where's quality? Where's quality? So I need to... My quality isn't customizable, which means I do have a bug here too. Okay, so let's go back into Creation Kit. We'll find out why quality isn't adjustable, and we will fix that from there. I'm pretty sure it assigned the wrong thing, or one of them is not set to don't show in UI or something like that. This should have created the Mark 1 version standard, and it looks like it maybe created the relic right out of the gates. Well, we're gonna have to find that out. So save just so I can get back right here. And we'll close this down and I'll pause. Okay, once you have your ESP, you can come in and tell it to, when you load up the CK, click on the open folder or click on file data. It'll bring up the menu again. Click the plugin file, right? DSM Vulture Patch in this case. It is an ESP. You can expand and see that. You set as active, and it'll say active file here. It lists what its dependencies are. This is how you work with an active ESP. This is also going to be required for you to then publish this in the creation kit. So, okay, I've got set as active. I'm going to click OK after I pause because the load time sucks. Okay, we are back in the creation kit with the patch loaded. Now let's look for why did the quality not show up as customizable in our Mark II weapon. Okay, so here's our sniper. It's got the Nova Strike quality 2. It's got the mod association for ranged legendary. I'll bet you it's missing. No, that's the quality. Let's compare to the Nova Blast again. So this has can't have muzzle, Nova Blast, range. It doesn't look like I'm missing anything. The mod associations, let's make sure the attach points were correct. Weapon quality is there. Let's check the mod itself. So this is giving it a quality Mark II tiers any. Quality Mark II. Let's make sure so that the weapon itself looks fine. Let's double check the object mods. I bet you I'm missing constructibles for these. Let's see. So this has uses. So if I go up to the Novalite quality 3, for example, not that the Mark II quality, any of them use, it does have constructibles for that. So that's what I'm missing. So I need to add recipes for these. Create recipe. Now let's go back up to constructible object, and we should see Nova Blast qualities, Nova Strike qualities. All right, so let's compare these two. And that's what we're missing for that. So, fun times. We want to copy this over to here. We want to copy this over to here. We want to copy gun mod quality over to here. We want workbench weapon, because this is done at the weapon crafting or weapon workbench. Not the crafting one, just the modification one. We don't need an object count. We don't need value. We don't need an instantiation filter. It won't even let us set one because of the workbench type. that is good. So cancel on the Novolite, hit OK on the other. And we're going to do the same thing for 2 and then 3 and 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to make them similar. So grab a drink, turn on your favorite tunes in the background for a minute. I don't want a copyright strike, so I won't do it. So this is going to take a minute. Copy all conditions. Now this, we know that the levels were different for the quality tiers for this. Thankfully, I remembered. For quality for calibrated, it unlocks at 25 for the Nova Strike. So we set that to 25. Make sure the quality research 2 is set. Copy this, paste it here. Copy this ingredient, paste it here so that they're all the same ingredients for quality 2. We don't need to set anything else. Nothing else is set. We cancel the first one that we used as an example, hit OK on the new one, and do the same thing for the next one. Edit. Nova Strike, Nova Light. Copy, paste. Workbench, weapon keyword. Copy the materials, paste the materials. Copy all conditions. Paste the conditions, change the level to 40 because that's what it was set in the quality tiers any file. Yes, I'm just talking to myself as I work. Everything else looks correct. Cancel that one. Okay, on this one, edit. How's everybody's 4th of July? That's the day I'm recording this. Hopefully yours was nice. Mine is just getting started. We might go and find some fireworks shows to go see later. Not sure. It's really all based on the kid, what he wants to do. He said he might be interested, which is as much of a commitment as he ever gives us. If any of you have teenagers, you know how that can be. All right, so this is 60. All right, and that looks correct on all points. My eyes are scanning both screens pretty thoroughly here. We cancel this guy. Okay, on this guy. Time for 5. Edit. Now, these are all separate for every weapon. So every weapon has its own quality crafting for Mark II and Mark III. It's exhaustive. The reason is that they don't all unlock at the same level. So some weapons in games share like level unlocks, but most of them have their own unique scaling for when they start unlocking, when advanced drops, etc., etc. So in order to stay balanced with the base game, you have to pay attention to that stuff and apply it everywhere. Since the base game doesn't allow you to edit like qualities and stuff, this was never established by Bethesda, so it's established by us only. All right, so the last one was, so we did 25 for 2, 40 for 3, 60 for 4, should have been 85 for 5. Yeah, 85. And the next one will be 115. This is 25 above the last level. And that's just me keeping the leveling curve that was already established for the weapon by Bethesda in their quality tiers any file. Just to repeat that. Okay. Now we can do 6. Seriously, 115, not 15. Thank you. I meant it. Workbench W. Okay. We've got workbench, recipe filter, ingredients, and match conditions. Alrighty. I try not to close anything that I'm using as an example I'm not in things that I don't want to modify, like this Novalite. I don't want to modify any of his stuff. So because I don't want to modify any of his stuff, I always try and close his stuff with cancel. That's why you've been seeing me do that. Okay. Okay, level 150, and everything else seems to be in line. So that should solve the weapon quality crafting dilemma of why that wasn't showing up. The next would be to verify that the quality tiers themselves for the Nova Strike are indeed not set to hide from the UI. So 7 is good, 6 is good, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So none of those are set to hide from the UI. I'm going to double check the weapon again just to make sure. So if I go to mods, make this a little wider to see more. So he's got quality Mark II tiers any for the Nova Strike, and then the crafted, where we're forcing the quality as Nova Strike quality Mark II 01. So that should be fine. It should be applying that one. Just make sure it's not use all on this one. Okay. All right. Now we had something weird going on with the constructible object setting the quality of um, the apparel. So do the SFT. So this guy was the duster, was somehow spawning another copy. So we've got mod DarkStar apparel quality 1 and mod DarkStar apparel quality tiers any. The correct lining. Combinations look good. DarkStar apparel is there for the mod association. Quality is there. I need to compare this to a normal piece of armor or piece of clothing. So it's got the apparel mod association. It's got the same attach points. It's got the same quality. And it's got the same tiers any. This doesn't make any sense. Maybe it was some weird fluke. I'll go double check it now. I didn't make any changes to any of those. I did fix the weapon, I hope. All right, so I'm going to pause again. Well, first, I'm going to export to small master. Yep. Yeah, I know. All right, and then I'll close this and open the game, and I'll be back in a second. All right, here I am back in the lodge, in the game, and let's see, without creating a new one, so it might not have fixed the current one, Mark II Standard is now showing up, and I can now change the quality. So I didn't have to create a new version of the weapon, and it did craft me the Mark II Standard by default, which is what I wanted. Remember, we locked that down. I'm going to use, since this character is maxed out, I'll apply the Avant-Garde enchants to this weapon, not to Envoy. Avant-Garde, thank you. There's no skin to change, but everything else is where I would want it to be. Damage is absolutely nuts. I'm going to rename it because that name is huge. Note that it did not create some weird clone of it. Alright, so this is going to be just Far Strike. Let's go in here and make him slot 3. There we are. So the weapon works. I'm not sure what's going on with this stuff. This one says relic, this one says basic. Let's see if I do relic. It should not have duplicated it, and it did not this time. Okay, so whatever was going on seems to have been a temporary bug, or maybe I had more copies of that gear in my bag than I thought, which is actually the more likely answer. So I've got 2 Dustwear at Mark II Relic, and now that bug seems to be fixed. So this is now ready for me to pass this over to my testers again. This version of the mod, this recreation, which should be more stable than the one I handed them before. No, I don't want that. Arrow. Get out of my bags, thank you. I don't have any extra weapons to dump, no extra blah blah blah, sorry. But the task from here is you do some deep testing on whatever you just patched. You create every item that you have patched, and you verify that each and every one of them is working exactly as you intended. If you have people that are willing to help test, then you ask them to please help test after you consider yourself done with development. So once that is done, then you will log in back into your creation kit, and I'll show you that screen. I'm not going to do it yet because this isn't ready for prime time yet. It still needs testing, but I'll show you how to do that next. Okay, we are back in the creation kit. Just to show you, I have the DSM Vulture patch as the active file. That is absolutely necessary to get this sent up to the creation store. So from here, you would click File, log into Bethesda, and once you're logged in, you can then upload. I'm going to pause again and log in. And now that I am logged in, I can then go PC and Xbox. I'm actually going to set this up. I'm not going to publish yet in case any of my testers find a bug, but I'm going to have it like this and ready. I prefer never to use the ESP itself. Now what the creation kit is going to try and do if you do that is it will auto convert to an ESM to upload it based on the size that you select here. Since I have to test these anyways, and I'm generating ESM files for my own testing, I prefer to manually select the ESM that I tested and verified. That way I don't end up with any strange bugs during the conversion process. If you are including custom scripts in your or graphics or any of that in your patch, so if you're changing the graphics that the original mods provided, or changing scripts that the original mods provided, or you are adding new ones and doing alternative versions or any of that stuff, say you're doing a patch specifically to add a black weapon skin to something, you're going to want to include archive and generate that by adding files to it. Whatever those files may be they skins or scripts or whatever. You have to add them here to generate what's called a BA2 archive file. And then you will need one for PC and one for Xbox. They are different format. This section here, this will create them for you. If you're testing with those, then that means you've probably already generated them through the create archive menu here. So if you're doing scripts, skins, meshes, any of that stuff that are brand new as part of a patch or a normal mod, then you've already gotten familiar with create archive to generate a BA2 so that they work when you test in your game. Or if you're handing it off to somebody else to test, you would have had to have generated an archive file to be safe. If you're posting to the Creation Club, you can't do loose files. They have to be BA2 archives. So that's that. From there, you're submitting a creation for PC that has no archives. Continue, yes. Xbox has no archives, yes. And now this will bring up any that you have published. I'm creating a new creation. This will be DSM Vulture Patch. So this is DarkStar Manufacturing Patch for the Trackers Alliance, the Vulture. Wow, my typing is bad today. Allows you to craft and enhance the Nova Strike sniper weapon, the Vulture dust wear, and the Vulture veteran dual wear once you have completed the Vulture quest for the Trackers Alliance. Note, make sure that Trackers Alliance, the Vulture, loads before any DarkStar mods. Note 2, make sure that this patch loads after any DarkStar mods. Before. And then I can do more details later. And then I will set what this is, which is here. And that's it. So create, and then it creates the listings, and then it'll give you links, which you should navigate to, and then you can, once you have that page open, you can come back to it later. And of course, I'm not logged in, which I won't do right now on camera. Let me log in off camera. Okay, so if that's the case and you hit this and you're not logged in, log in, come back to this screen, don't close this yet, and click it again, and then you will land on that creation page. From here, you need to add pictures, tweak your descriptions, all under the manage section. You can set languages and all of that. If this is a patch for other mods, then that means it has dependencies, and you cannot legitimately sell anything that requires dependencies. If you try and do that, then you will probably get kicked out. Don't do it. But yeah, from there you would just edit this page as it's ready to, whenever it's ready to completely publish, and then click publish, and then you're done. That is all I'm going to show you. Well, no, actually, I will show you one more thing. In Discord, if we go down to the DarkStar Manufacturing section, so this is my Discord for Wicked Gaming and all of my mod support, there is this manufacturing patches discussion group here where you'll be able to add, if you are a member, let me know, let one of the moderators know that you are creating patches for DarkStar Manufacturing, and we will give you the content creator role, and then with that role you can come and create a discussion thread here for your one patch so that people know it exists, and we can comment on it and like it, give feedback, whatever else. You can do all of your support here inside my DarkStar community, my Wicked Gaming community, if you choose to. This is optional. You don't have to, but I would recommend it for those of you who are just doing one-off little patches here and there. This would also be a good way to, hey, I created the patch, but I no longer use these mods. Here is the ESP file, and drop it into this thread for anybody that wants to take it over. As soon as they get their version done and up on creations, I'll turn mine off, yada, yada, yada. And we can hand off patches to people as necessary through this forum. Totally optional. You do not have to join and do this if you don't want. I'm just offering it for all of you. So with that, this is Wicked Gaming signing off. I wish you all the best of luck in creating patches for other mods for Starfield to work with, so that those equipments work with DarkStar manufacturing. Even if it's something as simple as creating a patch that moves somebody else's clothing back to the industrial bench, or moves it specifically to the apparel crafting bench, or all of those things are very doable in this, and you should have been able to pick up enough information out of this tutorial video to do simple patching like that. If you need assistance, you can always come here into manufacturing help in Discord. I will not be giving that assistance on YouTube video comments, on Reddit, on emails, or on Nexus private messages, or any of that. If you want help from me, I have to consolidate to one place because I get a lot of help requests and a lot of comments and everything else. There are 326 members of the Discord currently. There's a lot of active conversation, not just about my mods, just about Starfield and modding in general. So feel free to join in. This is a very healthy community right now. We are being very diligent with removing any toxicity. So I welcome you, and another member just joined. So I welcome you to come join us to talk about the patch you want to create, find testers for the patches you're creating, and post about your patch here in a way that will allow you to offer support to the people using it or interested in it at all, and maybe even hand it off in the future if you stop maintaining it. So with that, bid you all a good day. Hopefully you had a great July 4th and a great weekend. Hopefully this video will be out by Sunday of July 4th week, so I think that's the 7th. All right, catch you all on the flip side.